Today on the channel, I'm going to show you how to play Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to play Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi. This is a great song, Slippery When Wet. All of us have heard it by now. Many of us don't know how to play it, so I'm going to give you some tips, tricks, and pointers on how to play this song, and give you some insight into the theory behind the song and what makes it work and what makes it tick. We're going to go over the verse, the chorus, and the guitar solo. Alright, so let's begin. The song is in D minor or F major. Both are the same key, they're just relatives of each other, okay? So D minor, the song kind of plays around with D major as well. And I suppose you could say it's kind of blends a little bit of G major and D major in there. It's sort of like D Mixolydian. Interesting song. Anyway, enough about that. Let's take a look at the beginning of the song. When the song starts off, it's going to start off with a drone in D. There's going to be a synthesizer, right, or a keyboard doing this really cool like drone thing in the beginning, and then you're going to hear this interesting, it sounds like a 12 string with a lot of chorus on it. It's got this little lick that goes like this. Alright, so what I'm doing there is I'm taking a D minor arpeggio and going, and I'm going to add that second. So it sounds like, you know, really mysterious. Alright, so that very first lick, it might be a synthesizer. Sounds like that. It's very, very subtle in the background, right? Then after that, he's got this harmonic thing that he goes. So we're going to do the D and the G string. We're going to hit the 5th fret and then the 7th fret. Now they sound a lot higher pitched because this is done on a 12-string acoustic guitar. It's doubled with that, so it's got this higher resonance in the harmonics. So that's what it sounds like he's doing to me, all right? And then he's got this other lick that goes, that kind of is in there again. Now there's a really interesting chord you could play also. If you're the only guitar player in the band or you want to add some extra textures, you could do this chord. So that's a D minor with an add 2. So what I'm doing there is I'm taking this D minor shape. Instead of going like this, I'm playing a D bar chord up here, D minor. I'm just going to play the top 4 strings. I'm going to leave this open E like that. It's pretty awesome. All right, and then he goes, we got this really nice D. Now one thing about this song, Richie subtly uses the minor third and the major third in this song. And there's a lot of half-step bends in here that it kind of toys around with that major minor thing the whole time. So if you take I'll get into this a little bit later, but if you take the D minor pentatonic scale, you take all the minor thirds and put major thirds. It works really well over this song, so that's just a little bit of advice there. You can play like D dominant 7 type figures over this, which is really pretty. Anyway, let's take a look at the very beginning. So the song, after it does all this, you know, all that stuff in the beginning to get you prepared for the song, it does this lick that sounds like this. Alright, so there's a lot going on there. It does this main descending thing twice. So we're going to start up here. So that's all a D minor. These are called sixths, because each one of those notes are six steps away from each other. So he's got this drone of a D. A drone is a note that holds throughout an entire pattern. So if you notice, so he's going down this descending pattern in sixths, which is a D minor. Then he's got this sixth here, which is like a C major or an A minor. Then he's going to switch it down here. Okay, so he's pretty much playing an F there, or a D minor, a G, and that looks like an F or a D minor. So down here it starts exactly where it stops exactly where it begins, where it starts. All right, so these sixths, if you remember it like that, and I'm showing the tablature without, playing it, arpeggiating these, that'd be a great way to start learning this lick, and then you can start adding the drone to it, which is the D. So I'm going downstroke, downstroke, and then an upstroke, like that, okay? Let me get a little bit better tone here. Use the neck pickup. So I'm going downstroke twice and an upstroke twice on each arpeggio, each sixth. Like that, down, down, up, 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 up. Down, down, up, up. Sounds like a video game. The very ending, I'm going to go like that, all right? So once again from the beginning. That's a great exercise to learn how to do string skipping and alternate picking with your arpeggios. It's tough because you're never playing the B string. You're only playing the D, G, and the high E string. And so you got to be really careful and articulate this picking pattern carefully, otherwise you'll hit this B string. It'll sound like, you'll get this weird B note in there, which is out of the key. I kind of mute the B string with the fat of my middle finger, like when it's like bent over the sixth, to kind of protect it. Just over time, I've developed that technique, and you will too. The more you play something, you just develop those techniques naturally. Then there's this little thing that goes. That's like the signature lick in the song. So it's open A, and there's a half step bend on this C. Then the open D, and then a half step bend on the third fret on the D string, and then the open D. You got to add those little half step bends subtly. I'm down picking everything. Adds a lot of flavor to it. And then we're going to up pick that D sus2 chord. Then he goes. So we're going to go open A, bend that C up half a step, play an F, just a little bit of an F, like the bottom strings, and then the D. And if you notice, I'm not doing any D minor, I'm not doing D major. I'm really staying clear away from like making sure the major and the minor is pronounced. Even right there, that's a D sus2, so there's no major third or minor third in that chord. That's intentional. Cool. Now I'm going to show you how to play the verse and the chorus. I'm not going to tab this out, but I'm going to show you the chords that are involved in this, and there's only 4 chords. It's based off of a D, and then this is a C9. Okay, I call it the Every Rose Has Its Thorn C, and then there's the G like this, and there's an F bar chord. Okay, back to D. Now in the verse, John and Richie are playing off this D major. All right, but there's 3 things that you got to know. There's a D major, there's a D sus2, and there's a D sus4. Now I play the D chord a little differently. Most people play it like this, but I flip these 2 fingers around. So if it looks a little weird, that's why. But the reason I do that is because I can go from D major to D minor in some songs really easily. And I can just go D sus2. So that's just, it makes more sense to me. I've always done it that way. So I can go D sus4, D major, D minor, D sus2 without doing any switching around with my fingers. All right, so in this chorus, or not chorus, in this verse, all right, he's going to be doing a lot of this sus2 and sus4 stuff. So he goes, it's all the same. So what he did there is, I'm going D sus4. I'm kind of going sus2 and hammering onto a major. So what you got to do is get this roll in there. So what I recommend you doing, you're not going to be, if you can't strum, if you're struggling with strumming, if you notice, one thing that I'm doing is I'm not hitting the strings really hard. We're not banging it out like an acoustic. Even on the acoustic, you got to use a little bit of dynamics. And that's what the pattern sounds like that. On that C, there's like a little pause. It's all the same. C, G, F, D. Now if one thing's going to trip you up, it's doing that, hitting that F bar chord to it back to a D. You got to get used to going D sus4 to a D major, and there's a hammer on. D sus2 to a major. A lot of classic rock, a lot of metal. They do a lot of these sus4s and sus2s. And it's nice to be able to do it in songs like this that are D, C's, and G's, because all you're doing really is moving these your pointer finger, your index finger, and your middle finger to the next chord shape like this. Okay? And these 2 fingers here just stay right on the fretboard. So if you make a D sus4, you make a D sus4 like this, and you go to hit a C9, you go to hit a G, the movement's minimal. Then you got to pull all the fingers off the fretboard to do that F. Okay? And then the chorus goes C9, I'm a cowboy, to an F, a steel horse I ride, I'm wanted, then the signature lick. 'Cause I'm a cowboy, I got the night on my side. Now if you're going to play this song, going to have to learn how to belt out that Richie Sambora Wanted. That was the hardest part that I had to do when I was in the Bon Jovi tribute band for years. When I was in Slippery When Wet, learning all those Richie Sambora parts were so hard. He is a great singer, phenomenal. Great player, great singer, great musician overall. All right, so I hope that makes sense on the verse and the chorus. I mean, that's pretty much the verse and chorus. One thing I didn't mention, that little thing, that little, what I did there was, I'm going to hammer on, I'm in this G position, I'm going to go open A and hammer on to the chord and strum right down the chord, then play the C. So that little riff, if it stumbles you up, that's what I'm doing. That's kind of what he's doing on the record. All right, and then after it does that chorus, it goes back into... It does that twice, and then... One thing you're going to need to get used to doing is most bands, you're going to, unless you've got an acoustic guitar player or multiple guitars and you're in a big setup, you're going to want to have a lot of gain on tap. So for instance, and then I'm going to go to this neck pickup and I'm turned way down. If you have a lot of gain on your amp and you turn down, you're still going to retain the headroom of the tone. Headroom meaning the fullness of that sound. It's not going to sound really thin and brittle like just a clean amp sound. So you want to have a lot of headroom, and it's going to sound warmer. And even if it breaks up a little bit, if you really dig into it, you can lay off the pick. It's nice to have a little bit of hair on the tone. It's just more pleasing to the ear. Okay? In my opinion, anyway. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I mean, it repeats the structure of the song. You have to remember the structure of the tune and where those parts come into play. So, I mean, pretty much you've got the intro lick, you've got the D sus 4 and sus 2 to the C9 G, F during the verse, and then the chorus is just kind of a little bit of the same thing, just in a little bit different rotation of those chords, right? So it's all those same 4 chords throughout the whole song. Now the guitar solo, this is tricky. Richie went through a phase in the 80s and maybe early 90s, where mostly late 80s, where he had a really mid-range, high-gain Marshall sound on his records. It sounds almost like a tube, like a Randall or a Marshall, or 2 amps slaved together, but he had some really mid-rangey tones that gave him the ability to hit some harmonics, some pinch harmonics that you really have to have your gain. He might have been using maybe a Rat, like a Proco Rat or something, but there's a certain way to get pinch harmonics, like... But those tones really aren't conducive to live performance for rhythm, so those are kind of like punch-in tones, and Richie was famous for coming up with some really interesting squeals and pinch harmonics, and man, they spent a lot of time producing and making sure they got these notes and pinch harmonics just perfect. So pulling this solo off live is not difficult, but getting the exact pinch harmonics perfectly is really tricky. So I'm gonna get you really close in the ballpark, and the point is, if you do it with conviction and you're right there in the ballpark, 99%, everyone's gonna love it and be jamming out with you. So without further ado, let's take a look at this solo. All right, so after it breaks down, it's gonna go into this part right before the solo. It does that twice, and John goes, So that's the first lick right there. I'm going to break this down in segments. The first lick goes something like this. So we're up here on the D to the C. We're going to go. So I'm going to be on the 3rd and 5th fret on the A string and on the D string on this whole little thing that I just did. So the rhythm, you got to listen to the record to get it just right, but Richie's doing something like that. And when we switch down to the D string on the 5th fret, we're hitting pinch harmonics. It's kind of like pinch harmonics through that whole second half of that lick. Now, a pinch harmonic is when you really dig into the string and you're going to use just the tip of the pick, just the tip of the pick, and you're going to hit the edge of your thumb right after you strike the string. Instead of sounding like, it's going to sound like. And that's what I was talking about earlier when Richie uses those mid-rangey tones. That brings out these pinch harmonics so much easier. Lots of distortion, lots of mid-range. So once again. Okay, then there's this lick that goes like this. He's way up here. He's going to go. So this one run goes. Now it's kind of tricky because you got to bend these notes in pitch, right? And then you've also got to do this run fluidly. It's like 6 notes, so we're going to be on the 12 and the 14 on the G. We're going to be on the 13, 15 on the B string, and the 13, 15 on the E. And then we're going to bend it up a full step. So that 15th fret bend goes, then 13, bend up the 15th. So all together. So let's start from the beginning. Okay, then this next part is kind of muddy on the record, and it sounds like he's going like this. And he hits his pinch harmonic on the 3rd fret on the A string. So out of that lick, all right, one more time. Then the next measure, they hit the downbeat, he doesn't play, and then he hits his pinch harmonic on the 3rd fret on the D string. And then he goes. So after we come out of. It's kind of easy. You just got to hit that pinch harmonic starting on that 5th fret bend on the D string. And then it goes. It's kind of a repetitive thing. So from the very beginning of the. Okay, at the very end of the solo, he runs up this lick in the D minor pentatonic shape and closes out the lead. So what that lick is, he's going. So we're going to be up here on the 10th and 12th on the D string, and then 10, 12 on the G, and then bend that G string up, and then do this little lick, and then go. So there's 2 things that he's doing there. He's doing this, he's doing that one. So he's bending this 12th fret up on the G string and hitting the pinky on the 13th on the B. And the second time he bends up, and hits the 13th on the high E. And then the third time, he does the back to the B string on the 13th and rides it back down and ends on the 10th fret on the G. So then he palm mutes. He's got that little lick. He's going to be back down here in this shape. So we're palm muting 3, 5, 3 on the D string, 5 on the A, 5 on the D string, open A, and then D. All right, slowly from the very beginning of the guitar solo, it sounds like this. I'm a cowboy. All right, cool. So now that's it. I mean, that's pretty much everything in the song. I've gone over the intro, those little mysterious licks that are in the very beginning of the song, the main intro lick, the verse and the chorus. You've got to get your strumming down and master the D sus2 and D sus4 chords. I'd say practice it on an acoustic if you've got it also, because you can really bang it out there. Don't forget that little lick. Okay, and then the guitar solo is a trademark Richie Sambora solo with lots of scream and pinch harmonics, and it's it's pretty much in D minor pentatonic, the whole thing. So hope that was helpful. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you did, please consider subscribing, comment below, and as always, have a great day. Peace out.